Secret Service in the house.
Bucket hat. It's bucket hat time.
TC, you're undefeated, man. You're undefeated.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the TC and Company podcast. Tom Caron with you at Fenway Park. We're up in our studio in a crazy homestand that began with a crazy weekend. What a weekend it was in Boston. A reminder why it is the greatest sports city in America. Red Sox getting back up off the mat after being swept by the Tampa Bay Rays and getting things rolling against the Angels to begin the homestand, but doing it in the middle of a 10-year remembrance of the marathon bombing, a reunion of the 2013 World Championship team that came together and helped lift this city in the days after that bombing. Ceremonies in Boston, at the finish line on Boylston, and here at Fenway Park. And then the Celtics beginning their playoff run with a dominating effort, certainly at first half, against the Hawks, and then cruised to the Game 1 win. Bruins opening up their playoff run in the Stanley Cup playoffs after an historic regular season, best regular season in history statistically. So see where that all goes as the playoffs roll on. The solemn ceremony of one Boston Day on Saturday then gave way to a celebratory weekend at Fenway with the 2013 team back together. Most of them getting together after Fenway for dinner and then for the 10 Years Stronger concert, the event at MGM Music Hall from the Greg Hill Foundation. Greg Hill, the morning host at WEEI, the Hillman Morning Show, putting together an amazing event headlined by Zac Brown, the Zac Brown Band, playing a small venue. This is a band that books 30, 40, 50,000 seats in a stadium and fills them, getting back together to play a small, intimate concert to raise what they hope will be over $1 million that'll directly go to the Survivors Fund that the Greg Hill Foundation has put together. Zac Brown Band coming back August 19th to play Fenway Park for the 14th time. They've sold it out 13 times. That's a record for a music act. They've also been inaugurated and accepted into the Fenway Music Hall of Fame along with Paul McCartney and Billy Joel. So that's pretty good company. Zac Brown stopped by to talk about playing Boston, playing this event, and their upcoming tour, From the Fire. It's a great concept dedicated to helping people in the country get reunited after a tough few years that have seen our country more divided than ever. Great conversation to lead off. We'll hear from Greg Hill in a moment, too. He put this whole thing together, but let's start with Zac Brown of the Zac Brown Band on this week's TC and Company podcast. Listen, you play a lot of big arenas, a lot of stadium shows. You're coming in tonight for a very small, intimate thing, which means a lot of people to us in Boston, a lot of people here in Boston. Talk a little about coming up for this event tonight and what it means to you and the band.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. At Fenway, again, always, this is my favorite place to play. So we love the city. We love to get in to come in, and got the whole family with me today. So we got in last night, and just being here, singing the anthem at the game is amazing, and then playing a small show. I miss playing shows like that sometimes, where you can see everybody's faces and, feel more like I can tell stories in places like that, than playing here. But what a feeling coming out here to a full house. I mean, there's no feeling like that.
You're coming back in August, 13 straight sellouts here at Fenway Park, which is the record here. You ever think a Southern boy would come up here and suddenly feel at home as you do in Boston?
Yeah, it's wild, man. I don't know what it is, but I feel at home here for sure. I look forward to it every time that we get to come back and do it. And so we're always trying to change the show up. So we give them a different presentation of whatever it is, different encores, different things every time it comes. So we've been working on that. Got some rehearsals coming up for the tour this year. And, so August 19th, we'll be back.
I've probably seen 8 or 9 of your 13 shows here, okay? And if you haven't seen them, they are amazing shows because you do always mix it up. So what do we got in store for this tour? What's new?
Yeah, well, we can't tell you that. But
take us into the creative process a little bit, because you've been doing this for so long, you and the band. How do you keep it fresh? How do you do that year after year?
Yeah, we spend a week together or two, depending on the year and what we're working on, coming up with new covers to do, different arrangements of our songs that everyone kind of would expect to hear us play. But I love the curveballs. I love trying to play things that no one would ever expect us to play, and trying to pull those off. Songs that people would know, but in our own way. So it's always fun. I mean, just working up the encore, and we're getting ready to do that next week. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, I never would have thought I'd be at Fenway Park listening to Zac Brown Band play "Enter Sandman" by Metallica. I mean, you really do never know what's coming next.
Yeah, we love the curveballs. We love to. The guys can play anything, and now we have a lady in the band too. So, she can sing a lot of the high harmonies now, so Clay doesn't get a hernia.
Paul McCartney, Billy Joel, Zac Brown. That's the Music Hall of Fame here at Fenway Park. How cool is that?
Yeah, we're in the same sentence as them is an honor for us. So yeah, we're stoked to be part of that, to be recognized with it. But love Paul McCartney, love Billy Joel. They're obviously huge influences on us. So just being in the same company as them is an honor.
Couple last things. Baseball in general. You guys seem to resonate with baseball crowds. You come to these stadiums, and it feels almost like a ballpark night. It doesn't feel like a stadium night, right?
Yeah, and the baseball stadiums, it's big, and you can fit 40,000 people in, but it doesn't feel big, and the sound is still good. Football stadiums are really challenging because it's a big bowl, so the sound does not sound good. You have to have like 5 arrays of sound. So these are as big as you can play where it still feels somewhat intimate. But walking out here in front of the Green Monster is like, it's a dream. I mean, these are definitely my favorite shows. Of anywhere that we play, Fenway is my favorite.
You still cook?
I do.
You still whip it up backstage?
Yeah, we don't do the eat and greets anymore.
Right.
We did that for 6 years, and it's like throwing a wedding every day. And it gave some people a little too close access, so we had to filter a little bit more. But
it gets a little bigger each year. None of those crowds behind the scenes.
Yeah. And we'd feed 150 fans before every show and serve them food and talk to them. And we had some incidents where it's like, okay, we got to change the way we're doing our VIP a little bit.
Got a show to do here. We got to get out there and get ready. The whole concept of From the Fire, which is really cool. Like, it's been a rough few years, right? I mean, the world has changed, and I love the idea of bringing people together. What is it about that concept, about using your music and your platform to try to get people together?
I think music is such incredible medicine. I don't know where my life would be without, with the power of music and being able to bring everyone together and be reminded. I remember after COVID, the first show that we played, and people weren't staring at you because you were standing too close to them, and everybody's spitting on each other and spilling beer on each other, and and it feels everyone coming together, and kind of what was happening in the media and everything during that period of time too is just like trying to rip our whole country, divide our country. And so being able to play music and be a unifier for us is really important, and all the live acts that are able to come back out now, because I think so much of that was just crap, it was just horse shit. So I don't know if I can say that on here.
You just did. It's good by me. Yeah, you're in the Hall of Fame. You're in the Fenway Hall of Fame. You say what you want, man.
But seeing the America that I know and the people getting to come together again, and there's a lot of love, I think, amongst all of our people, and there's pockets where there's really challenging things, and I'm not trying to discredit that, but I think this is still the greatest country in the world, and if you want to be something here, and there's going to be adversity no matter what background you come from, but it's I still believe in this country, and I think it's such an honor to get to live here and be here and decide what you want to be and what you want to do. And there's not a lot of places like that, and so I'm proud to be an American. That's just, somebody needs to write a song about that.
Amen.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this finally. David Ortiz, when he came here to play for the Red Sox, a guy from the Dominican Republic, right? Couldn't be more different than a Bostonian. And after 2 years, he became one of us, right? In 2013, he really spoke for all of us. And I remember him telling me once, he goes, you know why? Because the people in Dominican have the passion for baseball that the people in Boston have. And I was thinking about this on the drive in today. And that's how a Southern boy suddenly resonates with Boston, right? There's a passion.
Yeah.
What you just said about the country, you come out here, your performance is, you give it your all. And I think Boston, I'm sure they do everywhere, but here in Boston, that means everything. The effort, the care, the passion. It's amazing how these crowds have resonated with you here in Boston. It's special.
It feels like home when we come here. It really does. And getting people to forget about whatever they have going on and get to escape for that evening with us and sing the words back to us, and for us to try to always figure out, okay, how are we going to get them this time? What are we going to do? So that's what we're working on right now. the strategy part of it and rehearsals. But tour starts up in June, and we'll be here a couple months after that.
Can't wait to see you back. Welcome back to Boston. Welcome home, my friend.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Cheers.
All right, Greg Hill, the Hillman Morning Show, and the Greg Hill Foundation putting together this 10 Years Stronger. I want to get into the event and bring it all together, but first, landing Zac Brown. Like, that isn't – you don't just pick up the phone and say, hey, Zac, what are you doing?
I'm still surprised. I mean, he said it to you. Boston is their favorite city to play. So I think that helped. And I think timing-wise, we caught them. They haven't started the full tour yet. And it was a Sunday in Boston. And so I think we lucked out. We're pretty lucky.
But here's a guy who, plays 30, 40, 50,000 seat arenas, and you're saying you're going to play in this club, and he's fired up about it, right? You heard him. He's like, I don't get to do this much anymore, but that's still not the normal ask. I mean, you're calling the Foo Fighters and saying, hey, can you play my backyard for the bar mitzvah?
Foo Fighters will have to be next. I think we have to do this every year. But yeah, I'm amazed, and I could not be more thankful to him and the band for doing it. And it's going to be an unbelievable night.
Bringing it all together, what was the inspiration, first of all? I mean, and I'll blow your horn here for a sec, because you guys have done such an amazing job with all the work with the restaurants and bars through the pandemic, and then now going back to helping people through that in 2013 and still to this day. So when did it sort of hit you? It's 10th anniversary. It's a really good time to do something like this. What do we do? Could have done a lot of things. Could have had a golf tournament.
Yeah, our foundation was just 3 years old when the bombings happened, and so I think for us it was a moment that none of us will ever forget. It was an opportunity for us to, because the whole point of our foundation is to be able to help immediately, zero red tape, and get money to those who need it right away. And so for us, it was a moment where we were able to raise a lot of money and get it to people in 24, 48 hours or a week. So we've always had a special kinship with those survivors, and they have so many of them have paid it forward with our foundation and gone to events and helped us with things. And so as 10 years started to approach and we talked to them, we were looking for a way to celebrate the strength of the city. For them, I think when you talk to them, it's more about being able to say thank you to the people of this city and this region that lifted them up, and said to them, we're never not going to be there for you. That's our promise. And so we wanted to create a night that was celebration of the city and honoring the strength and the resiliency of the survivors and the first responders.
What I love about the idea of One Boston Day is that's the somber day that you remember what happened, right? And I think I remember saying it 10 years ago on the air. Have they taken Patriots Day away from us, right? But by separating the 15th, the day you commemorate and have a day of remembrance, you've left Patriots Day to be the party it's always been.
Yeah.
Which is important. Yeah. That's our day.
Yeah.
And now I love that you throw this in, because this almost bridges the gap. It's a somber to an extent, but as you said, it's also celebrating the heroes we saw that day and the resiliency we saw in the days and weeks and months and years now since.
Yeah, and, I think, to paraphrase David Ortiz, the intent to divide the city by those acts had the exact opposite effect. And it brought everybody together, and you look back, and I think the emotions that you get, the chills that you get, you see how almost everybody who was hurt that day has turned that awful day into a positive, created their own charitable organizations, mentored other people. All of that stuff was the exact opposite effect of, I think, the intent. So the stories are amazing.
Ryan Dempster was the starting pitcher on that marathon Monday. He's running for the Lindsay Lou Foundation now, right? Everybody finding ways to reconnect. But having this team here this weekend, listen, I mean, you talk about real world stuff on the show sometimes. Sometimes.
Probably more than people would like. The sports people would like.
More than we do, because we just come on after games. But the point is, like, we in sports, we over dramatize what a team does for a city. Okay, you win a championship, you go to duck boats, great. Get on with your life. It was fun. Yeah. That team, that was real. Like what they did, Boston strong, coming back on that day with the David Ortiz by Gomes flexing in the Boston jersey. Like, you couldn't make it up.
No, for that team to go on and to win that World Series, however you feel about higher power or manifestation or all that stuff, there's no way that there wasn't something really special about that in that year after what the city went through.
And having them all here, whoever's still standing, they've been going all weekend.
Yeah,
right?
oh,
So I've been around them a little bit this weekend.
Yeah, no.
I don't know how many will still be standing for the concert.
I think based on the ticket request, I think they're all going to be there. So,
but how cool is that, having them here as part of that thing?
It's awesome, and it's awesome. Every single franchise in the city, Red Sox, Bruins, Patriots, Celtics. Immediately when we announced we were doing this, wanted to find out how they can get involved. Wick Grossbeck's band, which is called French Lick, is opening up tonight. Actually, Zac Brown is doing an acoustic set, and then French Lick plays. So when we had Wick on the show on Friday, I asked him if he was more nervous about Game 1 of the playoffs or opening up for Zac Brown, and he said, actually, Zac's opening for them because they're going on after Zac.
Right.
So this city has. I'm hoping that we're gonna be able to net $1 million out of this event tonight, and it's for our Marathon Survivors Fund, and we want to fund that in perpetuity, so we're there for everybody forever. And so the city has stepped up and supporting it, has been supporting it, and I can't wait for tonight.
You hinted it could be an annual thing?
I'd love it. I would love it. But how do you beat Zac Brown?
That's yeah.
We'll have to get Theo to get us Pearl Jam or something like that. Or
Yes. Or a French Lick. Just is so big in a year that it's easy. You just bring him back.
Yeah.
But listen, I know that. Last thing. I mean, to do this weekend, the Bruins play Monday night. Celtics blew out the Hawks.
Yeah.
Red Sox are back now. They're playing good baseball. You got the Marathon. It's a crazy weekend.
I think there's a lot of people that will need an IV, like when we say midday on Monday, because think about Marathon Monday, Sox, the Marathon, 10 years, and then the Bruins that night. And my guess would be that the national anthem on Monday night at the Garden will probably sound very similar to the night that it sounded like 10 years ago.
Right, everybody jumping and singing. Congrats, and thank you. Great stuff.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming by. Yeah, absolutely.
Were you nervous interviewing Zac, or?
I was. Isn't that weird? Like I went fanboy because I do. I've seen him probably 8 times here at Fenway. Right, it's just a great show.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. I'm sure there's certain guys, certain celebrities. You've talked to them all, but there's certain ones you kind of, especially when I could talk to Wayne Gretzky tomorrow. Wouldn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean it depends on if the person makes the interview easy to do. Like for instance, Bill Belichick. But other than that, I would say I don't.
Do you get nervous talking to Bill Belichick? Still,
I know there's nothing that's gonna happen, and
there's no point.
I'm trying to figure out how long till he's gonna get angry.
But you know how it is. Like when you're around these guys, and he's a great dude. He was chill. Yeah. But he's surrounded by a million people. And so I'm waiting. He's walking over. Okay, here we go. Nope, they walk by me because he wants to go get a picture at home plate.
Oh, yeah.
Then here he goes.
You guys were talking about it. They have sold out Fenway Park 13 times.
It's unbelievable.
It's amazing. And we'll have 3,000 people see him tonight.
That's incredible. That's what's cool about this.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Right, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Greg Hill with us. That's it for the TC and Company podcast. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening.